And good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 94 of New York Red Bull Discussion Group, the podcast. I am Gary Redmond. Now, usually around this time, we also talk about what we're going to be talking about tonight. Of course, this is, with our last two episodes is always about the post-season postscript. This is part one. Part two, of course, will take place next week. Miguel Nunez will be joining me shortly, along with our special guest, Gary Gibson, and you're going to find out why very shortly. Miguel Nunez is working with some technical issues, and he'll be joining with us in progress. So normally we open up about, it's the postseason for us, right? New York Red Bulls finish is done, finished, over, kaput. Okay, we're all sitting there chilling out, cooling out, waiting until 2024. And then we're all focusing on this, okay? For the New York, remember last week we were talking about Gotham FC making their trip, making the trip down to San Diego for a chance to win the NWSL championship for the very first time. And as you can plainly see, by the banner here, they won it, okay? They are the reigning 2023 National Women's Soccer League champions. They have reached the El Dorado of women's professional soccer. Congratulations to Gotham FC. Congratulations to all you bats everywhere. They basically made history together. Kudos to all. And what I mean by to all, I mean kudos to not only to the team, the women, the organization, but to our sister, sporting Cloud9. They were there from the very beginning, right down in Urac Field. Every single one of those guys, some of them made the trip over to San Diego, and they're able to witness history. Now, if that's not a very cool thing for you to happen, this is probably the reason why you're supporters in the first place, because things like that usually take place. And for them, some of them have made their way over the West Coast feeling like it was all a dream. No, it was not a dream. It actually happened. And, shout out to them. I'm very proud of you guys. This is something that you guys are going to enjoy. When next time you grab that swag from the store, from the team store, it's going to have a nice little gold star over the crest, and wear it loud, wear it proud. You earned it, okay? As for us Red Bull fans, we're still searching. It happens, okay? This is but I'm hearing there's some things that's happening on the table for the team, starting with a rumor that has now become fact. That we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we're going to talk about that in length in part two, which is our final episode of the season. And in case any of you kids, pretty much didn't know what happened, because the game was on CBS. That's right. It was on Channel 2, WCBS TV, along with Paramount Plus. For those of you who need, this is what happened that very night. We're going to go through a quick recap, and I'm going to bring in Gary Gibson, and he's basically sitting in the catbird seat in our virtual green room with a smug look on his face. And why not? Because he basically was telling everybody, watch this team, before it all got started. And now that's been validated. So here's a quick recap of the match in question. Here we go.
One step further. The 2023 NWSL Championship game is underway in San Diego, and history will be made today with a brand new champion to be crowned. It appears a substitution is about to be made. And this is such a sad, sad way for Megan Rapinoe's professional career to come to an end. Towards her step, Williams! Well, that goes down as
It's going to be the difference maker in this game for Gotham, because she's dropping in between the lines. She can create the overloads, as we mentioned, and it's just the awareness to get that ball out wide. And that's where the Reign have to be spot on inside the box because of the movement. A little bit late from where to...
And here they come, Gotham. Oh, lovely play by Midge Pearce. She has time to pick up Williams!
We're on that far side. We talk about the pressing. We talk about the ability to break down, and then they're able to build on that far side. You see the late challenge, And so good from Mitch Purse to evade the initial challenge, beat another player, and then it's a late run from Lynn Williams. They overload the 18-yard box. No one steps tight. Where to loses a mark, and then right there, just at the last second, puts on the Jets and just keeps it on frame to put Gotham up 1-0. What an excellent finish, especially after missing the opportunity just 2 minutes before. Keeps that one easy.
A second in a championship final. Oh, now here's an option through the centre. The flag stayed down. Lavelle, and she's put it away, and still the flag is down. And Rose Lavelle has
talk about Roosevelt being the X factor. There's the high line of Gotham FC. It's just one pass, and then the little run deep from Roosevelt completely takes out the back line for Gotham FC, and then composed finish, just calm. Last minute opens her hip, then closes it. Says, thank you very much. I tied this game 1-1.
It's in that rain defence. And Fish looks there, and it's off the post. Oh, and it's off the bar from Sheehan. What an extraordinary passage of play. And Ray's possession, but what a moment, and how close did Gotham just come?
Oh, they come as close as ricocheting off of the post and the crossbar in quick succession, but you can't turn off at any moment in this game. It just comes off of a throw-in. Excellent flick to keep this alive from Lynn Williams initially. So difficult.
Looks to do it once again with this delivery. Astaire is there! Oh, and what a finish by the World Cup winner!
Well, so much about set pieces, it's the delivery. And look at that ball from Mitch Purse. Just puts it on a dime. Astaire just slips in between the two defenders and just gets up. And that is a textbook finish right into the corner at such an important time of this game. Says, thank you very much. Here we go. She gets high above the rest, finds the back of the net, and puts Gotham up 2-1.
Why she's so highly valued by her Reign teammates, and that's why Rose Lavelle is so highly valued too. Oh, that's stunning from Rose Lavelle, absolutely stunning. Can they finish it? Let's go, but what a save though by Mandy Hort, coming up big at the vital moment.
Far side, but there's a high line, and it is so risky from Gotham FC. We're seeing Rose Lavelle once again wiggling her way through pressure, loads of space for Latsko, but then it's just that last little second where she slows down. It allows for Hot to be able to get set, keeps herself big, and what a big paw that is with her left hand to get low, keep it out of the back of the net to Lynn Williams.
And here Sheehan with a strike from distance.
Well, she's certainly gaining in confidence, finding some really good positions to influence this game in the attack.
McLennan going towards Latsko, she couldn't connect.
That is the ball that they will be looking for the rest of this game. The wide run from Latsko, beautiful ball in from McLaren, just picks her out perfectly and almost gets caught in between two mimes, excited to get on the end of it, and then game on.
Bennett over the top. Oh, and it's there. Oh, what an opportunity for Rose Lavelle with virtually the last kick of the game. And that is a handball by the goalkeeper outside the penalty area, with Elise Bennett bearing down on goal and denying to see what Koroleva has decided. It is indeed a free kick on the edge of the box, and it is indeed a red card for Mandy Hort, who came out of her goal. Well, Lily Martin has been here before in this situation for Gotham. In this stadium, oh, and it's off the wall. Martin's wall did the job. How many more seconds remain before Gotham are crowned champions? But Reign, if they could just get a shot on goal. Oh, they've done it! Gotham have done it! Gotham FC, the 2023 champions. 2022, they finished bottom of the table with 13 points. And this will be their first NWSL trophy in their history.
all of you guys who basically rooted for this team and talk about the folks over in Cloud9. Nope, it was not a dream. You actually saw it. You saw it happen. And once again, I offer my congratulations to not only the team, the organization, and of course, all those wonderful supporters who made the trip and witnessed it. I'm bringing, of course, my colleague, Miguel Nunez. Miguel, part of me is a little wistful at this because it's always great when I guess bittersweet, so to speak, because it's sweet that it's a team that we know very well, that we support as well, and we talk about them length here at the show, and then they did win their first championship. Meanwhile, we're still searching, but that's for that's for another day. You saw the game last night. What was your feeling going into this match? Honestly, I mean, I was pretty much open-minded. What was your thoughts?
Well, Gotham was the underdog in the semifinal, and they got through that, and they were apparently the underdog again for this game. But you know what? I thought they were going to take it as soon as the player went down. Megan Rapinoe.
Rapinoe.
Okay.
That was a shock.
Yeah, Rapinoe went down like it was like no. I mean, she went down under 3 minutes, and then like 3 minutes later, she was walking off the field.
I was stunned. So I was like, wait a minute.
I was stunned as well. I think without her creativity, I think Gotham was going to win after that, and look what happened. But it was a bit of an insane ending there. With the goalkeeper coming out. She might have done the right thing, because who knows where that
it was a 50-50 thing. It was a bang thing. Yeah. I mean, you got a player coming right at you. I mean, you got two choices: get in front of that ball or watch it going into the net. And that's what I thought it was going to happen at that point.
And then the ball goes to Rose Lavelle, who she's just got to chip the keeper. But lucky for us, it went. Yeah, she went for power, went over the bar, and that's that. But then I thought the substitute goalkeeper was going to come in, because they were showing her. Yeah, they were showing her on the sideline, and then it became obvious that they've used all their substitutes.
Yeah,
and a field player had to be play goalkeeper for like a minute. But it worked out, but only because the wall did its job, Gary. I think,
I'm sitting there going,
shoot. Yeah, that ball might have been going in, and who knows if that.
Every single fan held their breath at that. It was it's got to be the longest 5 minutes that they've ever endured, because you had to talk about the break. You had, they had to look at VAR. Then you had the red card. Then it was like, oh boy, is this going to be?
Yeah, it was an obvious red card.
It was, I mean, there was no argument whatsoever. I mean, easy red card. I said that during the game thread. Easy red card all day. You're not supposed to put your hands on the ball. And I guess, I'm thinking maybe if she did it deliberately, I mean, maybe it was crazy as a fox, but hey, it worked. But that's what your teammates supposed to, stick up on. But let's talk a little bit. Two of those goals, of course, one from Williams, of course, the other, of course, from already from. I mean, she got
Gonzalez.
Thank you, sir. Esther Gonzalez, game winner. She won in Spain. Now she's doing it. Then she's doing it here for New York.
I thought she was the player of the match. I thought she was the player of the match. But whatever. They gave it to I forget who they gave it to.
They gave it to Midge.
Yeah. I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue with that.
2 assists. She was all
she had 2
on
assists,
the offensive end and on the offensive end. She was all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that team came together. Remember how they were surfing very nice in first place, and we were basically giving them their props, and deservedly so. And then they slipped on a few banana peels down the stretch. They almost slipped themselves out of it. I mean, you was like, hey guys, you do realize that only the top teams make it, right? So we looked at the standings and I was like, oh man. So they really had to do something down the stretch and they got it. But you and I have witnessed a lot of sporting events, okay, through the end of time, okay? A lot of worst to first stories, okay? Teams are at the bottom of the barrel, either in season or between seasons, they wind up on top. Does this, in your mind, stack among them?
Well, you know what? I have to say yes, because Gotham was they were in they wound up in last place last season.
13 wins.
And this season, yeah, and this season they're champions, you know. So what a turnaround. Okay. And I have to hand it to the ownership group, to the GM, for putting together a really good team. Okay. Other teams in the league might have had the bigger stars,
right.
Gotham had Ali Krieger this year, but she was on her last legs as far as her career went, and it was great to see her get an NWSL championship.
One other player
as she goes off into the sunset.
Yeah, one other player before her. I mean, she had, but she didn't get if maybe she had stuck around for one more year, maybe she would have got a nice little trophy. But with Gotham signings, and Gary is going to come, come with us after the break. It does. When you look at this team, that a lot of people don't really pay a lot of attention to. Why, I don't know, but after this, they're going to really start paying attention to. This, when you look at the depth of this squad, and I'm looking at the roster right now, even with Krieger gone, this is a good team. This is going to be a good team that's going to be fun to watch. So while
I was thinking about that.
I mean, I'm looking at this roster and I'm like, whoa. I mean, they really did some good work on this thing. Now, mind you, they're going to lose some players in the draft because remember, there are 2 teams coming in the league next year. Okay, there will be a dispersal draft, which means they can only protect some, but not all. But I think they're going to keep their core and they're going to build around it. I mean, this win does wonders for a league like this. They hired a great coach who was coach of the year. I mean, he coached the living hell out of that squad and got them through 2 very tough playoff opponents. One of them was Carolina, just skated by them. Okay. Then went into Portland, noise, vitriol. I mean, you were basically going after 12 versus 11 and got a late goal in extra time to silence them. We're talking about in order for them to win the thing, they had to knock off the 3-time champion to get their first. Now, if that's not one hell of a playoff run, that reminds us of us back in 2006. I don't know what does. I mean, the only thing is that Gotham finished the job where we got, knocked out. So what, the question we're going to ask with Gary is, where do you go from here? Okay. Right about now. And I think you have to agree, Miguel, the women got their attention. Okay. They really have. They really gotten their attention. I'm seeing them, I'm seeing them in the Daily News. I'm seeing the New York Post. I'm seeing, they were talked about it in the morning for about a minute. Okay. Just a hot minute before they went into the Jets and Giants and yada, yada, yada. Okay. On the sports radio and stuff like that. But they've really captured their attention. So I guess my question when Gary Gibson comes in with us after the break, where do they go from here? Because, the whole idea was to, build awareness. Remember when the GM talked about why they were going to name themselves New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC in the first place, okay? They were going to able to bridge the awareness between the folks in New York and, of course, in New Jersey. But with women's soccer being soccer period. Let's be honest, okay? Soccer period, and that is not. This is something that's in some cases you complained about, where you're talking about an area that people enjoy football. Okay, they watch it 24/7. You got Mexican leagues, you got the Premier League, you got just about every league you can think of. But when it comes to Major League Soccer, they couldn't care less. Okay, and even with Gotham FC, you're having trouble filling the bowl. Now, I'm not playing negative Nancy here at this point. I like to see this. I like to see soccer in this area explode. Okay, not a bang, a boom. I really want to see this thing explode. Where do you see where they need to go from here?
Well, you know what? If they can keep their team together, they're losing Ali Krieger, and I don't know who else they might lose in that dispersal draft, but it's a really good team. And if they could add some pieces, I was thinking about it today, Gary. You know what? The women's league in the U.S. was like the destination for like the best women's players from other countries,
from other leagues,
from other leagues. Like we had Marta, and we had several other of the top women's players. Like there was Vero, who the Spaniard. There were several other ladies from Germany and Sweden that played here. But now this league, it seems to not be the destination league, because there are other top, a lot of the top players, they're playing in Europe,
elsewhere, right?
Okay?
Elsewhere,
they're
right.
playing elsewhere,
and they're playing, and they're, and you've seen the crowds. Right? Yeah. You've seen them. I'm like, okay, women's soccer is here to stay. The flip side of that, and this is something you pointed out maybe about a month and a half ago during the World Cup or something like that. You said that the gap between the United States and other nations is closing fast.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And
I think
it was
closed.
Almost, I mean, so much so that you rang the warning bell, like, hey guys, the next time United States hits the pitch, the qualify or even play in the World Cup, they're gonna have a hard time this go around. They didn't get the three-peat. Okay, something got messed up over there, down there in Australia, but we know what happened there. But do we see the gulf between the talent pool closing, or already has closed?
No, it's closed already, Gary. Okay, it's right there. Okay. The women's national team, the U.S. women's national team, used to be the top national team in the world.
Yeah,
they were expected to reach the final of the Women's World Cup.
Right.
Okay.
Didn't happen.
Now, they didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
So there you go. Spain won the World Cup, and they have to produce. They have to produce players. I think this league is essential to that. Okay. But the gap is closed. The gap is closed. Okay.
Well, you rang the warning bell months ago, and you can proudly say, "I told you so." I mean, it's a great what you have here with Gotham, Miggy, is a great story, and one that we're very proud of. Basically telling throughout the last 3 years since we've had here with this podcast, and then we worked arm in arm with them. After the break, boys and girls, the one and only Gary Gibson, remember him? He came here last week and basically gave us a preview of what the game was going to be like. Now that the game is over, he's got some more nuggets to dash out for what's going to happen in the future for Gotham FC, and we all invite you to stick around. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Gary Gibson, of course, is joining with us right now. He was here last week when he was basically schooling the rest of us and giving us a breakdown of what was going to happen in the game. Then the game happened. And as I'm going through the game thread, Miggy, I was checking off all the boxes of what Gary said, and everything was in green. So I'm sitting here with crow in my mouth, and my man has every reason to be strutting his stuff. But let me show you guys something before we begin. This was Mandy's red card here. I want to ask you, Gary, right off the bat, at that very moment, what were you thinking at that point? Because everything was going smooth. It was like, okay, kill the clock. We walk it out the winner, and then this happens. What were you thinking at that very moment? Can't quite hear you. We got a sound problem. Can't quite hear you.
All right, you probably hear me now, right?
There we go. Okay.
I was muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
yeah, I heard you. Okay, so for the first time in my life, I've been watching soccer and playing soccer my entire life. I was so calm once going up to the game, I was extremely nervous. I couldn't believe we were in the finals and all this stuff. But as soon as that first whistle blew, I was like, we got this. We got this. No matter what happens, we're going to win this game. And towards the end of the game, I'm also running the social media. So I make this like end of the game poll of like player of the match and stuff like that. So I start writing it out. And then I'm like almost way through it. And I see this happen. And I'm like, do I keep going with this poll or do I erase it? Whatever. I was like, you know what? We're winning this thing. I don't care. I know she's getting a red card, but we're going to win this thing. So I stayed true to it. And we did end up winning. But when I saw it happen, I knew it was a red card right away. I didn't realize that we didn't have any more subs. But this is an interesting story. We played San Diego early on in the season on that field, and it was atrocious. There was divots in the field. This is one stadium for like every San Diego team. They're college teams, they're college football teams. So it is a mess. And last week when they played the semifinals there, it was also a mess. So they looks like they kind of redid the field, and everyone was slipping and sliding. And during the game at San Diego early in the season, we lost 2 players for season-ending injury. One was an ACL, and we lost our starting keeper for the rest of the season. This was like mid-season. So, and Neely Martin ended up in goal at the end of that game. So this is the second time in San Diego she's ended up in goal. And she's confident that she can pull it off, and she did. I'm very excited. I'm very happy that she took one for the team.
Miguel and I talked about before the break about how the game, certain moments like what happened on Saturday night may be a launching point for certain organizations. For Gotham FC, it's almost like, okay, well, we are the champs, and they can build on that. And they certainly have garner a lot of attention. They've got, I'm seeing when I woke up this morning, I saw it on Channel 2. Of course, naturally the game was on Channel 2 locally. Of course, they ran it in the game in the morning. You had the Daily News, you had the New York Post, you had, basically all the all the other TV networks they let in with Gotham, basically saying, hey, they won in the Southern Championship. Of course, you had the knuckle draggers and everybody else saying, what's women's soccer, yada, yada, yada. Never mind them. They don't really matter at this very point. But the question that Miguel and I have, and Miguel's going to follow up after mine, how do you see this team, this team building on that success? What do they need to do to sustain it? Because in this market, you're there and then you're gone like a snowball in the furnace. So what do you feel that what Gotham has to do to not just get people in the building, but to build the awareness of their club, which was the reason for the rebrand in the first place?
Yeah. I think we do need to take it back at least 1 year. When Gotham first rebranded, there was a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a like cachet behind it. A little bit of excitement, a new team, new feeling. That coming in, and we went to Red Bull Arena, so it was just kind of new feeling. And with the loss of the GM, especially after last season, I don't know exactly what was going on in the back rooms of Gotham FC, but I guarantee you it wasn't pretty. And everybody wanted to turn this thing around, and they invested everything into this club this season. Because if Gotham had another season like last season, I don't know if we're having a conversation of possibly selling the team or whatever they're thinking, because it's not sustainable. The original GM, Elise LeHue, said that Red Bull Arena was expensive to rent even at $9K or $10K attendance, and they were getting 1,000, 1,500, 2,500. It's just not sustainable, especially when you're not winning. So this season, their attendance is picked up. They're winning again. They got new players coming in. So there's a real big buzz around it, and I think they just hit it out of the park with every single signing that they made, especially with the coaching staff, everything. Now we have big excitement. We just won a championship. And then they brought in Mary Wittenberg, who's an A-list CEO, who's really good at building the ground game in New York. And I think I honestly think that trying to pull fans from Red Bull and New York City SC, I think it's over at this point. I think if you're invested, you're invested. If not, you knew the team was playing at Red Bull Arena. You know who these people, you know where they play. So at this point, it's like, if you're not interested, you're not interested. So I think they need to build a new fan base there in New York City and really have to build that ground game of getting some new fans.
Miguel, you're up.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Gary. You know, I read with interest over this past week that the Tisch family has gotten into the investor business with Gotham. You know, I have to believe that money is needed to bring a lot of these top players, especially from overseas, especially the ones that are in the U.S. women's national team. Okay. Do you feel that this is what's going to happen with this new investment?
The new investment does a bunch of things. One, last year, the first kind of one that broke through was Kevin Durant, then came Eli Manning, then Sue Bird. And every time we add a new investor, it lessens the investment that those other investors are making and the losses that they're making. Because, you know, like the MLS wasn't making money till about 5 years ago. So especially the NWSL teams, they were just not making money, and they make money based on increased attendance and the expansion fees. Of course, they're taking that from the MLS, expanding. So I think every time
I want them to do, but go ahead.
it lessens the investment the other investors have to make, and it makes it easier to do that. And with every new investor comes in new resources. This year they went all out on social media, storytelling, and back end stuff. So it's been good, but I think it's just going to grow and grow and grow. And the more investors we can get, the better.
The thing that's on my mind right now is the impact beyond the field. And what I mean by the impact beyond the field, I'm talking about little girls who have been playing soccer pretty much all their life. All they know is the U.S. women's national team at this point. They never really had a local team to go to. Now they do. So as of this moment, the Red Bulls and Gotham FC, they're sharing, of course, their training facilities over at Whippany. That's going to change within the year or two, within the next year or so. Matter of fact, next month, if I'm not mistaken, they are going to, the Red Bulls are going to put shovels in the ground into a brand new state-of-the-art center just across the road. I think Gotham is going to stay put in that particular facility, so they have the training facility of their own. And I'm asking to both of you because I know I don't know if you have any kids, Gary, but Miguel, I know you have daughters, you know, in your family. How much of that is an impact to little girls who now see Gotham as their club to grow the game, you know, to grow the game in the metropolitan area? And in short, how much of that is a factor?
It is a factor. And I always, like, when it's all about kids, like, kids are interested in soccer. They're interested in these things. I think the problem always is the parents. Just putting it out there. I think the parents need to be more invested and investing in their kids, investing in soccer and bringing their kids to games more often and stuff like that. So youth soccer is growing at such a rapid pace. It's growing faster than any other youth sport. So it's time for the parents to start bringing their kids to games now.
Okay, Miguel.
Well, you know, Gary, my son played soccer up until he was at a Division I program at Fairleigh Dickinson University. So he got pretty far from youth soccer from 5 years old on. And I've been to many tournaments, many games since he was 5 years old. There were always girls teams playing, always, and there were really big. I would say local clubs. My son was part of PDA, and they had PDA girls. Now that was more of like a path for the girls to go earn like a college scholarship, But now they have a path to like, hey, I can be a professional. I think that's the impact that Gotham and this league, NWSL, has had.
You're right, and I agree with you on, even if like Sky Blue is local, honestly, I've been to some of those games, and I'm sure, Gary, you said you've been to some of those games. It didn't really feel like a professional game. Like it didn't. Yeah. It didn't really seem aspirational. Seeing these women play at Red Bull Arena, playing at the level that they are, winning championships, that is aspirational. And I think the women that we have on this team on Gotham are aspirational people. That I think that if these fans could get to know these players, I think it would blow this thing up, because their players are amazing.
Okay, we got our first question coming up, of course, from one of our listeners. This is Tom Potvin, and he asked this following question. Hey, Gary, how do you build a suburban family base? He personally feels that is the core crowd for NWSL. The one thing that I want to add to that before you answer that question is that based on where the Red Bulls are located, okay, where they play, in Harrison is considered, suburbia, just 15 minutes outside the city. It is not considered an urban location. Hence, when you go to Red Bull games, it doesn't have that urban feel. It has that, I hate using the term soccer mommy, soccer daddy feel, so to speak. But how do you build that suburban family? How do you build that suburban family base? We're not asking you to put on the GM hat, but do you see Gotham heading in that direction rather than heading into the city?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think the area around Harrison is rife with talent. There's so many youth clubs in that area, and Kearney is, the soccer capital of the United States, and they're 15 minutes away. There's so much talent in that area. They just need to start investing and take some losses, bring some youth teams to the stadium as much as possible.
Okay. The other comment we got from a longtime listener, Lena Fatino, she's like, her daughter Lily asked if to start going to Gotham games to the Red Bull games because the girls win. I knew this was coming. Oh man, I knew this was coming. She takes after her mom.
You can't argue with that, Gary. You can't argue with that.
What do you want me to do? I mean, right now, the only thing I can do is just shut up. Okay, that's it. I mean, I can't defend the indefensible. But if this is what I meant by impact outside the game, right? Because girls, they see this. They see a bunch of girls winning a big game. They see a bunch of girls winning a trophy, okay? And now all of a sudden, that's going to be their team. That's my squad. So, I mean, it'd be great if we get somebody from Gotham FC next year when we talk about how do you capture that? How do you say, okay, I got you, and they're going to grow with that? I mean, you're representing two states here. First New Jersey, now New York. Okay, there's that slash right in between it. So in which direction do you think they should focus more? Garden State, Empire State?
I would say Empire State. I think they need to start pulling the fans.
Tell me why about that. I know a lot of people say, boo, come on, we're in New Jersey. But, go ahead. You're going to get some hate mail in the morning from some politician, but go ahead.
That's fine. And as you know, I said on the last week's podcast, I think trying to make inroads with NYCFC, I think is dead.
I heard that. Oh man.
Yeah. I don't think they're interested at all. And I think that eventually with their new stadium, I think they're going to try to get a USL team or something like that. So I don't think they're interested in Gotham at all. But I still think that there's a lot of fans in the New York City area that would still come to games if it made it accessible, made it fun. And I think the biggest draw for women right now is that the players are accessible. So if you bring your kids to the game, they're going to meet players. They're going to get autographs. They're going to be able to get up and touch these players because they're just so personable and they do a lot for the fans. So it's not just that they're winning; it's that they're accessible.
Miguel, you're up. What's your question before we get to our next question from the audience tonight?
Okay, yeah. So then, just looking at a question that was asked by Lisa Votino, and very interesting. With Ali Krieger and Megan Rapinoe retiring, do you think there's a lack of a face of women's soccer? Okay, and is this would Gotham need that, like a face of Gotham? Okay,
I think they have it. I think you saw it during the championship game. I think Midge Purse has been the face of this team for 3 or 4 seasons, and I think she's absolutely marketable. I think she should be on the trophy. She should be everywhere. She's an incredible, and it's what's fascinating about like covering these teams is these players are. It's both a like good thing, and it's also a symptom of this overall system. Players, like women players, can't just be soccer players. Well, they haven't been able to do that. So if you look at a player like Midge Purse, she's a Harvard graduate. She's in the Harvard board of directors. She's producing a TV show on the off season. She's got her own nonprofit for the Black Women's Player Collective. These women are amazing. They're amazing people that it seems impossible for them to be able to do what they do. And there are people that you want to root for. And Midge is personable. She did a podcast for covering the World Cup. She's got everything. So
I'd like to meet her hopefully next season. Like definitely want to chat with her, see, where it has gone, since she's been with this team. And you're right, she has been the face of this franchise since she's gotten here for the last 3 or 4 years, which brings me to my personal question here. And with the success, of course, with Gotham, remember, they're tenants. They don't own the place. They don't own Red Bull Arena. How is this going to negatively impact the Red Bulls? I don't think it will. For what I think will probably happen, and you guys can give me your takes on this, I think there's going to be much more of a symbiotic relationship between the two squads. Something that I made a suggestion to Red Bulls GM, Mark de Grand Prix, is make it, double header nights, okay, for Gotham and for the Red Bulls, and bring the families in there, finishing off with fireworks, have one great a night of soccer in New Jersey sort of thing. I don't know, okay, something that will dovetail that, and is but at the same time the Red Bulls need to get their act together. More on that later. But Miguel, I'm going to start this question with you. Do you feel that it's going to hurt the Red Bulls in any way or fashion based on this win from Gotham?
No, it's not going to hurt the Rebels. You can't hurt the Rebels more. Okay, they're horrible. Okay, this could only bring them up somehow, because you know what? There's finally a trophy, a championship trophy, coming to Red Bull Arena.
But it's not
okay,
theirs.
Gary. That's my take. And getting back to what you just said, I think it's a little bit of insane that like double headers like that haven't happened and have not happened like once, twice a season. Okay, I don't know that there is like any. There might be like a love-hate relationship between both organizations. I recall at some point several years ago, the Red Bulls were about to buy Gotham FC, but they wanted to call them like Red Bulls, So I don't know. I don't know if there's something to that. Okay, but I gotta believe that having double headers like that, it would build both fan bases. Okay,
it was certainly
Gary's take.
Your take, man.
They did do one doubleheader. It was like the first game that that Gotham played at Red Bull Arena, and that was a lot of fun. It was a beautiful day. It was a great soccer day. I think you guys are both right. I think that it's a symbiotic relationship. I think they both can rising tide lifts both boats. So I think getting more fans.
I don't sense I don't sense any acrimony between the two fan bases. No. I mean, we're in the press area a lot, and there are a lot of folks from Gotham there a lot. I don't. They're treating this as mi casa su casa, so I don't see any acrimony between the two organizations. Okay. It is fun. At least not like, that I've seen it. But go ahead.
Yeah, it is funny that like maybe 2 years ago when Gotham was kind of at their lowest, there was a lot of people who were like, you know, maybe Red Bull should buy Gotham, and then now Gotham's doing really well. Like, maybe Gotham should buy Red Bull.
No,
but no, I think
please.
Don't start that. Don't start that. I mean, if anything else, I agree with you, Gary, Miguel. It can't hurt the Red Bulls anymore because, after all, the Red Bulls are on the downside at the moment. They are working on trying to get back into the game. As for Gotham, I mean, I'd rather them stay independent, and I'll tell you why. The women's game depends on it. Okay, I don't want the NWSL to wind up as, the NWA right now. Okay, where some of the clubs, I started, following the New York Liberty. For a lot of people didn't know, when they were basically joined at the hip with the New York Knicks. Not anymore. They've moved on across to Brooklyn with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, for a lot of people that don't know, anybody remember the Houston Comets? The Houston Comets were the 4-time champion of the WNBA, and they were joined with the Houston Rockets. When they were the first team among many to go solo, they disappeared. Okay, gone was the support, gone was the fans, gone with everything. And within a few short months, they folded. So the reason why I want the women's teams to stand on their own 2 feet, is because the health of soccer is, I think the health of the sport alone is enough to draw fans, okay, to watch these games. Mm-hmm. You just got to give them what they want. You just got to give the market what they deserve. And that's just for both teams, not just for Gotham, but Red Bull especially. You can't have players that, unfortunately, fans don't relate to. If you got a bunch of no names, well, that's great. If they play together and win, something to Miguel's point, that fans won't care. They'll see a winning team and they'll rally around them. But even then, Miguel, we talked about this. If you don't have maybe 1 or 2 guys that you don't know, you're not going to fill a full building. That brings in the casual fans. There are 3 sets of fans that we've all talked about. You got the diehard supporters, and where there are very few. You got the season ticket holders, where they're basically there just to be entertained, and then you have the casuals who are on the fence, but they figure, why is that place sold out? Why is that place bumping? Who's this person? Who's this baller? Who's that baller? Let me take a look. And next thing you know, they're hooked. Okay. A lot of fans were on the fence when Thierry Henry was with the Red Bulls. Now they become fans. I don't know where they are now. They disappeared because when he left, so did the fans. But I want this league to stand on its own 2 feet on their own merits. And so far, so good. When I look at the model of the NWSL, and I'm dragging out now, guys, the big picture, Gary, I'm going to start with you. This league is growing. They're going to add 2 teams. Does the health of the sport benefit by adding these 2 teams, or does it hurt them by diluting the talent overall?
There has never been a lack of talent. There's always been a lack of opportunity. And I am on the train of expanding, because this is the thing that when we talk about the national team, like, other teams are catching up. Not really. I do see that in a little bit of sense. But we're not giving the players in the United States enough opportunities. There are so many talented players. I grew up in Central Jersey. I've played with some of the most talented players that I can imagine that never made it because there's just either not an opportunity or not enough money to make it. And on Gotham FC, we have Kristen Edmonds. I trained with her. She coached me for a little bit. She's amazing. She's a Central Jersey soccer legend. But I think that there's always a room for expansion. I don't think we're even close to tapping out even half of what the talent is in women's soccer in the United States. I think they can expand to 30 teams and it'd still be a pretty healthy talent pool.
Miguel, do you agree or disagree?
No, I totally agree. I totally agree with that assessment that there's not enough opportunity. Okay, but are there enough stars, game-changing players? Okay.
Okay.
Now, when you see, I don't know what Gary's take on this, but like we were talking about this. The U.S. League, I don't feel is the destination league nowadays for like the big stars in women's soccer. I think a lot of them are staying put in Europe. Okay. Can they get some of those players over here? Okay. Just to be like the faces of whatever clubs
franchise
they're playing with, Yeah. I mean, I remember I want to tell you, I went to see a Sky Blue game down at Rutgers, and I forget what team it was, but that team had Marta, okay? And it was sold out, okay? Because everybody was going to see, wanted to go see her. Can they get some of the big names in women's world soccer to come here to this league nowadays to ply their trade?
Yeah, I think they can. I think we just saw World Cup winner Esther Gonzalez come to this team. Not only that, Maitani Lopez came to this team, and she's super talented. And I think that the way Gotham has built their team and the way that everyone's come together and everyone is enjoying themselves and they're winning and it's like one big family, I think it's opening doors for other players overseas to see, okay, maybe this is an opportunity to showcase myself with a team that's winning and players are having fun. And it's a unique style. And yeah, so I don't think that they're going to be losing players overseas as much as they used to, especially with the CBA now. Now that the players are getting paid more, the facilities are better, the stadiums are better. I think we're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, we're not in the
Let me ask you.
Go ahead, Miguel.
Let me ask you this, Gary, with the current situation for the Gotham FC players, are those days long gone where, there was that report, horror stories of like women, players from Sky Blue FC living in like squalor, okay, not
getting
making enough money.
Assaulted by coaches.
Exactly. I mean, are those days long gone?
I would like to say yes, but I'm always I always got that that feeling on my shoulder that there's something coming.
Right.
But the CBA changed a lot of that. Now that the teams are held accountable, that they have to provide a certain level of facilities or housing. They have more cash flow now. Now there's more investment, all that. So that all helps. So I do think that the worst days are definitely behind us. But there's always the PTSD is always there.
Yeah, of course. Couple of questions coming up. This is from Mark. Should they change the name to Gotham Arena? We all know the answer to that. if they buy the place from Hudson County, from Hudson County, sure. But no, absolutely not. That would be quite neat. But the one question that come up from Tom Potvin: what is Eli Manning's influence on the team? Because I think it picked up considerably since he showed up.
Surprisingly, yes. It was a lot of people were skeptical at first, like, why is a football player investing in, a women's soccer team? But he's got he's got girls. Better to do? Right. Yeah, he's got girls and they're interested in soccer. So he invested in a team that's going to show them how to be professionals, which is awesome. And Eli knows how to win. So he knows how to build teams. And the thing about the Mannings are they're not just football players, they're football nerds. Like they know a lot about the back end. They know how teams are supposed to be run. And every time we bring in a Kevin Durant, a Sue Bird, an Eli Manning, they add that kind of benefit of knowing how teams should be run and how winning organizations should be run. Right. So I think he's done a great job with that in the back end. And I don't think it can be understated how much he's helped in the back end.
Of course, naturally. Oh, Portland, who just hired a talk about PTSD. Who hired a misogynistic jerk, the most tend-off move I've seen in a while. Well, of course, naturally, there are some clubs that just, they need to figure it out. The one thing that has me beaming with pride, I mean, I'm not quite a full-time supporter with this group, but I've watched them. Yeah, I'm getting there. Hey, my goddaughter's getting the jersey with a star on it. Okay, nice. So there you go. So hey, and she scored pretty high in judo. She's a grand champion, stuff like that. Guess what? She's getting the jersey. Okay, from the Godfather. But for me, they hold women's sports in general, guys, hold a very special place in my heart. Because of not just the equality, because I want them to succeed just as much as the men. But at the same time, I want them to stand on their own 2 feet, as I said before. The one thing that I see Gotham going forward from here is that the sky is the limit for them. Only they can determine, okay, where do they go from here? The only sad thing is that because I was so busy with the Red Bulls, I didn't have time to sit and watch a Gotham game like I promised myself I would do. Actually, I had tickets for one game. Okay. Guess who? When San Diego came to New York, and my goddaughter couldn't make it because she couldn't get off the plane. She got sick, and I had to donate my tickets to another deserving family. And that was my one and only trip, to Gotham. And that was the end of that. And I've been running around with the, with the Red Bulls ever since. Gary, and I say this to you, and I say this to your partner, Ruby, and of course, hopefully we'll have the great Tonelli with us next year. Please, the gentlemen, and I speak for all of the gentlemen, including my colleague, Miguel Nunez, don't be a stranger, man. You guys have been terrific. Whenever that you got your finger on the pulse of everything going on with Gotham FC, the door is open to our home. So make yourself, come in and make yourself comfortable, my man, and give us the scoop, because we love to hear all things about Gotham, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more next season. So that's the end.
Yes, thank you for always having me on. I appreciate it. Obviously, I'm a Red Bulls fan too, so I appreciate to listen to you guys talk about the team. I like that too as well. But as far as the game was concerned, I got a lot right. I didn't get Gotham pressing. They weren't pressing as high as they usually do. They were really sitting back a little bit.
Yeah, my girlfriend going, enough with the high press already.
That was the most dialed back Gotham we've seen all season. So
she was really going nuts. She was like, enough with the damn high. You're not going to get beat with these guys. She was worried about Lavelle. So was I. She's just hanging out there waiting for the offside trap. You're going to get killed. Yeah. It's just, it's a wonderful thing. To see this, of course, naturally, when I walk into Red Bull Arena next year, I'm going to see that crazy little banner hanging on the roof, but rafters and stuff like that. But you know what? At least that banner will bring a smile to my face, Miggy. I mean, at least who knows? Maybe the football gods will give us a break after. Oh, you got a championship. All right, we'll give you one too, just so you don't hate me for the rest. But of course, there's been some doings, of course, with the New York Red Bulls. There is a player that is bound to coming our way. His name is Emil Forsberg. We're going to put that on pause, and we invite you guys to join us next week when the whole team, me, Miguel, Mark, Lanre, and hopefully Carlos, who couldn't make it today because he had has something to take care with the family. It was very important because family first around here. So hopefully he'll be joining us next week. Next week is our final episode. That's it. There is no more until 24. So, of course, we're going to have a very special guest, which we are going to keep quiet until the very end. And because tradition follows function here at the podcast, we save the best for last. Not saying that you're not the best, Gary, but usually it's the Matt Miazga won Defender of the Year. Well, of course he won Defender of the Year. Lisa, what do you think? There was nobody else better than him during that season. No, not even Andres Reyes, mistake prone Andres Reyes. So, but as always, of course, Gary, feel free to stop by. And for the rest of you, we invite you for next week, 8 o'clock. The entire team will be there to give us our send-off. We're going to flip the script from Gotham to Red Bulls. It's going to be all Red Bulls all evening long. How we're going to fix this.
We're going to go from here to here, Gary, okay? Gotham, Red Bulls, all right?
Well, so, yeah, we went to the high. Now we're going to low.
Now we're going to the low.
Right? You know how fearless we are. We don't care. Okay. We simply do not care. Okay. This is how we are, and this is what we do. So, on that note, that is the end of episode 94 of the New York Red Bulls discussion group. Remember, if you missed the live show, as always, please don't worry about it. The very recording that you're watching right now will be available on our YouTube channel and Spotify.com the very next day. As a matter of fact, it's going to be launched online next morning. You can also check out our previous episodes there as well. This is season number 3. And by the end of the year, all of the episodes will be uploaded on our 2 channels. And of course, naturally, we strive to make our podcast better every episode. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for myself, Miguel, and everyone on the team, please do send them our way at our email address at rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. Again, rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. Hey, your Gunners did pretty well this weekend. I mean,
thank you, Gary. Thank you. Okay.
You did pretty well this weekend. I mean, as you know, in the EPL, I had no dog in this fight. I got no squad to root for.
Come on, Gary.
So, although I do like Arsenal, I'm just not supporting them. I'm just very loyal on the teams that on this side of the pond. Okay, so so there you go. Rooting teams that I never once visit their stadium is just kind of crazy for me. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for Miguel Nunez and Gary Gibson. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you next week for part 2 in our final episode. Until then, thank you for joining us this hour. Good night and goodbye for now.